Flip to Freedom, episode number 80. Hello again, this is Sean Terry from the Flip to Freedom podcast, and we are on episode number 80. Now, if you're joining us for the very first time, I want to let you know that I put this podcast together for you to show you how to replace your current income, how to escape the 9-to-5, how to get out of the rat race, how to live the life of freedom, how to be able to do the things that you want to do when you want to do it. You can wake up in the morning, you can go to the gym, you can go get a Jamba Juice, you can go golfing for the day if you want to go golfing, you can take the summers off and go to the beach. This podcast will show you exactly how to do that. Now, you're probably wondering how. You'll learn how to do this by flipping houses, wholesaling houses. And wholesaling houses is as simple as getting a property under contract, signing a contract with a motivated seller. Okay, let's say the house is worth $100,000 and you sign a contract with a motivated seller for $50,000. Then what you do is now you have the ability to market the property. That contract gives you equity interest in the property. Then what you do is you turn around and now market the property to a cash buyer. Not a buyer that's going to get a loan, not a buyer that's going to get FHA qualification, but a cash buyer that will buy the property for fix and flip, or they'll buy the property for rental. Okay? Now, that cash buyer, you're going to sign a contract with them. Okay, and you're going to sign a contract for a price. Let's call it $60,000, which is 40% off the retail value of $100,000. So now what do you have? You have a contract you signed with a seller. You have a contract you signed with a buyer. Now, you didn't have to qualify for a loan. You didn't have to fund anything. 90% of the deals I do, I don't even deal with earnest money. So all you have is two pieces of paper. You bring them to a closing agent and you instruct them to do a simultaneous close, a back-to-back close, or what's called a double escrow. Now, how the double escrow works is that the buyer will wire in $60,000 to the closing agent, of which $10,000 goes to you, $50,000 goes to the seller. The seller's happy because they were able to sell the property. They didn't have to deal with a real estate agent. They didn't have to deal with making any repairs. They could sell the property as is. And then you have a buyer that's happy because they're getting a property below market. And then you're happy because you walk away with $10,000. Now, you can do this as many times as you want in the year. You can do this as many times as you want in the quarter, or you can do this as many times as you want in the month. There are months I do 15 to 20 of these deals in a month because I have my marketing machine set up. Now, what we talk about is the specifics on exactly how to find the seller, how to find the buyer, how to negotiate the deal, how to sign the contract so you can protect yourself, how to deal with the closing agents, everything in these 80 different episodes. Now, also, too, we talk to people that have listened to the podcast and read my book. It's a 129-page book that people have told me they spent well over $1,000 for the same information, and I give it away for free at flip2freedom.com. Flip2freedom.com. You can go there. You'll see a video of me on the front page, and you can put your email address in there, and I will email you a special link where you can download this book for free. Now, I have people tell me they spent over $1,000 for the same information. Now, in this, I teach how to go out and do this process and build the business. Well, in today's episode, we are going to talk to a gentleman that started and tripped across my podcast less than a year ago. In May of last year, he tripped across my podcast. He listened to all the episodes. He read my book, and he actually joined the Flip2Freedom Academy, which is more of an intense learning on video, and it pretty much take you through the whole process. But the bottom line is that he got started, and he went out, and in less than a year, he was able to replace his income. He makes $65,000 a year working 40 hours a week, and he was able to make over $70,000 flipping houses in his spare time, only working 1 to 2 hours a night. in front of the TV on his computer. So it's a crazy story. It's an awesome story. And the guy's name is Brian Gabali, and we kind of go in detail what he did and his skepticism when he first got started and what his thinking was. And he talked to his friends and family and his relatives. Everybody said he was crazy. And then he decided to get started anyway. So that's what we are going to talk about in this interview. We have an interview with him. We're going to go in detail and specific steps. You're going to absolutely love it. And he's going to tell how in less than a year he was literally able to double his income, amazingly enough, by this fun hobby of flipping houses. So now, before I do that, though, I'd like to recognize several people who actually went into iTunes and they submitted reviews. They actually went in and searched either Flip2Freedom or Sean Terry or the Ultimate Real Estate Investing Podcast, either or, and I'm trying to find it in my iPhone right now because I definitely want to recognize people to go in there. They actually went into iTunes and they submitted a review. If I can find it. Okay, here we go. Just I'm searching through here. All right, so the first one is from 253 Group LLC on February 1st. And he says, I highly recommend this podcast. This podcast is addictive. All of the techniques are good and relevant in today's market, and I have picked up a lot of tips that are making me money on my deals. Well, thank you very much, 253 Group LLC, for submitting that on February 1st. Greatly appreciate it. The next one is again on February 1st and said, Sean is amazing. G. Crouch 007. I can't say enough about Sean. All his priceless information and knowledge he has shared is unmatched. Sean can look forward to a life filled with good fortune, being such an amazing person. Thank you for everything. Days away from my first deal, Janelle. So, hey, thank you so much for submitting that into iTunes. I appreciate the kind words. Next one is Amazing Podcast from Deborah 1970 on February 3rd. It says, this is the best podcast I ever listened to. Tons of content delivered with lots of energy. Thank you so much. I don't know if it's the best podcast you'll ever listen to, but I do appreciate it. The next one is from Glenn 429 on February 11th, 2012, and he said, great content. Now, I got to tell you, I have 136 5-star reviews. This is the first 4-star review that I've received, and it's because, and I'll let you listen. It says, the content Sean provides is excellent, and anyone can learn tons from this podcast. My only complaint is the audio. I have noticed Sean is much louder than the other person being interviewed, and I turn the volume up, and then get blasted when Sean says something. Keep up the great work. Just balance the sound out, and a little more, please. So, Glenn, you have inspired me. This has been on my list to do for a while now, and that is to upgrade my podcast equipment. Now, you got to understand one thing. And I really appreciate Glenn actually pushing me over the edge, and we all should thank Glenn for pushing me over the edge. If you've noticed that the audio, I am not a podcaster. I'm a guy that I make 90% of my income flipping houses. I'm out there in the field. I'm talking to sellers. I'm talking to buyers. I'm going to houses and taking pictures and selling the buyers and closing transactions. That's what I do. That's what I do all day long. This podcast thing, I kind of jumped into because I wanted to to basically give back and work with people all across the country, and it's kind of given me the vehicle to be able to do that. So I literally have a Logitech headset, and I talk into my MacBook 15-inch into GarageBand, which anybody who's in podcasting is cringing right now because it's so stupid to do. But I've just kind of going about my thing. So, Glenn, you have inspired me to go out, and I went out and found the the highest level podcasting coach that I could find, and he set me up with a extremely expensive package with, you know, the best microphone and the best mixer, which I don't even know how to use, and the best this and the best that, and all these different things that I ordered, and it's coming in. I'm going to be setting it up, and from hopefully from this podcast forward, I will have a lot better audio quality going forward for the future episodes. So, Glenn, you have pushed me over the edge. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. And I do got to apologize, though, because in this interview that I do with Brian, our voice levels, his probably is lower than mine. So I do apologize in advance that it's not going to be, studio perfect, but I can tell you the content will be phenomenal. So, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get into it with Brian Gerbelli on his $70,000 quest to replace his income. All right, this is Sean Terry. I'm on the phone with an incredible, successful student that literally has replaced his income in less than a year, getting started in the Flip2Freedom Academy. And I'm on the phone with Brian Gerbelli. And how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I am, of course, always rocking and rolling and having fun. But you're rocking and rolling, right? So it's you've got some great things going on, some exciting things in your life that we're going to be able to talk about. So Brian, before you actually tripped across my podcast and tripped across, this whole real estate thing, you obviously have a 9-to-5 job, right?
Yeah, I do. I have a regular 40-hour-a-week salary job that I'm actually fortunate enough to where I like my regular job, so I haven't even felt the need to leave it. And I'm doing all this just in my spare time on lunch breaks and after work and on weekends. And yeah, I'm keeping up with my regular job just fine and more than doubling my income wholesaling houses on the side.
Okay, so what intrigued you to start looking for something different? What was that urge that you started searching for? What was that desire and that motivation, you think?
Well, I've always been interested in real estate, and I've always thought it would be fun to fix and flip houses on the side, but I don't really have, at least didn't really have the startup capital to buy any houses and then have all the money for renovations and then the holding costs for them. So I was trying to look for any kind of halfway into that or people to partner with, or because I do work in the construction industry, so I had the knowledge of it and subcontractors and all those kind of things. So I thought that might be of value to somebody, and then ended up kind of tripping across the Flip2Freedom Academy, which it has the 30-day money-back guarantee, and I spend most of my day on the computer anyway. I get home from work at over 5 or 6 o'clock. I spend most of that time watching TV on the couch like everybody else does.
Yeah.
But usually I'm on my laptop screwing around looking for things to do. So I came across this. It has all the training modules and videos, and I kind of thought,
you listened to the podcast first, though, right? I mean, did you find the podcast first and started kind of listening to that before you even?
Yeah, that's a good point. I should probably jump back to that. So prior to joining, I listened to the podcast for about a month. I tried to go to the gym 3 days a week after work. So I would download them while I'm at work and then go listen to the podcast. And I picked up way after you'd started them, so I had way more than enough to get through. So
right.
3 days a week for about a month, I listened to another podcast every day, and I would just stay at the gym till it was done. And that kind of planted the seed for there may be more to this. And I kind of took a little stab at it without joining the academy and placed a couple ads on Craigslist and stuff, and I was like, all right, I think I'm missing a little bit too much to actually make this work.
Now,
so that was what.
Yeah. Now, I remember when you were, you listened to the podcast. Now, I mean, and you were, talking to your girlfriend at the time, now fiance, and friends. Were they all 100% supportive and saying, "Oh my gosh, that's a great idea. You can contract a house and sell a house you don't own"? I mean, were they all backing you, with cheerleaders, or were they kind of a little skeptical?
I don't think I had one person believe me that it was possible. I had all these people, so I told pretty much any of my friends who would listen, told my girlfriend at the time, now fiance. I even told my parents the idea and stuff, and kind of nobody went for it. They were like, you know what, I think that there's more to this, or at some point you're going to have to put down a ton of money. And a lot of them were like, oh, you're going to join that academy. The guy's going to scoop up your $100 a month, just keep leading you on for as long as he can, taking people's money, and then you're never going to get anything out of it. I was like, well, you know what, there's a lot of scams out there. Maybe that is possible. But at least with yours, it had a 30-day money-back thing on it. So it's like, well, I can join it for a couple of weeks, kind of see what happens, scope it out. Even if I stick with it for 2 months and nothing happens, so it's $100. I spent $100 on way stupider things than the chance at making more money. Spend that on lunch in a week.
So no one believed you. So you went and talked to them, and no one believed you. So you're kind of like on your own. You're just kind of just like. So then you kind of kept quiet and just said, okay, I'm just going to try to figure this thing out and see what happens, right?
Yeah, that was exactly it. So I threw the idea out there. Nobody jumped on board at all. Everybody kind of thought it was a bad idea. So I was like, all right, rather than keep pushing it, why don't I kind of try to pursue this on my side and have the next time I mention it to anybody be with a check, or if that doesn't work out, just never mention it again.
So why do you think they were so skeptical? I mean, why do you think, was it just your excitement and you explained it in a different way, or was it, why do you think everyone was not supportive?
Well, I think until you go through and you get the first check, there's a lot of people ask you questions and you have no answer for it. They're like, well,
right.
What happens when somebody wants to earn this money? And you're putting in money, and it's like, I don't know. I'll email Sean. I don't know.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty. And then after you go through it a few times, you can answer all those questions. And now when I've talked to friends about it, I can fill in all the loopholes, and instead of skepticism, they're more like, so how would I get involved in this, and how do I start doing this?
So
what would my first steps be?
So it was education. The education gave you the confidence that then you could eventually, answer the questions. But one thing you'll know about Brian that I've learned about him, working with him and stuff for the past year now, is that he's an action-orientated person. He listens, and you would consider yourself more of an analytical person. Is that right? Are you analytical?
Yeah, I like to have as many details as I can before jumping into something.
Right, so you're very analytical, but you listen and you take it in and then you apply it, and apply it almost verbatim. And it's amazing where he's gone out and he's took the information, he followed the steps and applied it. So this information obviously gave you more confidence that you could answer those questions. So then from that point, you decided to pull the trigger and you joined the Flip2Freedom Academy. Now, I want to tell anybody listening, don't join the Flip2Freedom Academy until you listen to the podcast and read my book. Don't do it. Go listen to the information, see if it's something for you, see if it's something that you like, and in the way, because I give a ton of free information. I mean, how many episodes now? We got 78 different episodes, 79 episodes that you can devour for free, and the book you can devour for free before you do anything. Now, the Flip2Freedom Academy is all training videos and teaches in detail, specifically step-by-step what to do. So if you want more after you read all the information and gather the podcast, then that is there for you, but there is no need. Just with the information from the podcast, you have enough to get started and get you through your first deal so you can go out and get your first check. So I just want to tell people that. But, okay, so Brian, now, you went out, you joined the academy, and you basically said, okay, I'll try it. If it doesn't work, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee, and if it doesn't work, I'll get my $100 back. So what happened within that, from the time you joined and that first month, what kind of went on with you?
So I knew since I only had the 30 days till it was non-refundable after that. So I kind of tried to jump in as quick as I could. So it has different modules in the training, so I was going through them as quick as I possibly could, got up my Google AdWords campaign, got my advertisements on Craigslist. I even looked at advertising the local paper and things, which I still haven't done. I don't know if that would pay off or not. Maybe one day I'll spend the money on that.
Maybe one day.
And then some bandit signs, which was actually the quickest and easiest one. I mean, after watching, I think it's like the second or third video it talks about bandit signs. I drove down to Home Depot, got a Sharpie, wrote all over them, made a phone number through Google Voice, which is free, put a phone number on it, put I buy houses fast for cash, and put like 10 of them in my immediate area, and got a couple phone calls. None of them turned into deals, but it at least got the phone ringing, which made me a little bit more excited about it. And then got a bunch of phone calls, got a couple of emails about other things through Google AdWords and through Craigslist. And I emailed Sean probably a half a dozen leads that all of them were like, oh, no, you're offering to pay double what that house is worth. And started to kind of see where I was going wrong and what needed to be fixed. And then finally one came along where the guy called me, left a voicemail because I was at work. He goes, hey, I've got this house. I've owned it forever. I own it outright. I just want to dump it. I want rid of it. It's like, wow, he wants to dump the damn house. So I called Sean.
I remember that.
I called Sean. I was like, hey, I don't know what he wants yet. I'm calling him back right now. I'll let you know what he says. But the guy says he wants out of it like yesterday. Call the guy back. He's like, I don't really want to talk numbers. I called a couple other wholesalers. Whoever gets to the house first is going to get the deal. Like, okay, fine. So Sean drives out there, meets me at the house, actually. We walk through it. The house is kind of a dump. So it's
kind of a dump.
Probably,
that place was scary, wasn't it? This place was, the outside was nice. It was like a block house that had, didn't have tile roof. No, it did have tile roof, I think. And, but holy cow, it was, it was pretty nasty. $25,000 to $30,000 worth of work, easy.
Yeah, so it was quite a dump. It was like a 3-bed, 1-bath, and then it had like a little guest house. I don't even think there were windows in the guest house.
Yeah.
It was it was like a little torture chamber. Kind of behind it, and then it backed to a bar. But it was a relatively nice neighborhood, so this was by far the crappiest house in an otherwise decent neighborhood. We walked through, and Sean starts going through. He pulled a bunch of the comps and showed me how he found the comparable houses for it. Starts going through them with the owner, and the owner, oddly enough, is like, look, I don't care what any of that stuff says. I want $28,000 for it, and then I'm happy. And Sean and I had talked before, and he was like, oh, if I can get it around 30.
32, yeah.
We're in good shape. Yeah, 32, we're in good shape.
No, didn't what happened? Yeah, so I think what happened, I think we showed him the comps. Because he didn't give us the number at first. And this is the first time this has ever happened in my entire life. And I think both of us looked at each other and our jaws dropped. But I think I said, well, and 32 is on the absolute low end. We still would have made money on the deal, right, at 32. So I think I remember looking at it and said, well, I think we need to be around 32. Because he was just like, listen, I don't care what the numbers are. Just give me your number. So we said 32, and he comes back and goes, well, how about 28? So he renegotiated his number lower. That was, I'm telling you,
shocking.
I've done a ton of deals, and I have never had a seller come back and say, okay, no, I don't want 32, but give me 28, and then we'll make a deal. And I was like, so both Brian and I were standing there, and we're going, okay. And he wanted the contract signed in earnest money, right, at the time,
yep.
ASAP. He wanted to go right to the title company right there.
Yeah, we drove from the house to the bank, so he could have them sign, and I think they notarized the contract too while we were there, and he gave you a copy of some other document for the house.
Right.
And we started going right away. So we looked at the comps for it, and I think initially you were thinking you were going to sell it in the high 30s. You ended up putting it out for 44 though, and sold it in I think 2 days.
Yeah, so
and we closed 10 days after that.
Right.
So that was, I think, 3 weeks after I joined the Flip2Freedom Academy.
Yeah.
So I joined right in the beginning of May. That was like the last week in May. So I got that check. We split the $16,000. It was a little over $16,000. So I got a check for, I think, just under $8,000 after title company fees and all that. Pulled back out a bunch of it for marketing money, kind of upped my Google AdWords budget, started paying a little bit more attention to the Craigslist things, bought some more bandit signs. And
so let me ask you a question. That check, what did that do for you? That check. You got it in your hand. I remember because I remember the video, and I remember you got the actual check. But you got the check in your hands. What did that actually do for your psyche?
Yeah, that's true. You have a video of me on your website from right after that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so after my psyche, I was kind of a believer after that. I was like, all right, this can work. I don't know how repeatable it is, but it can work. So I was thinking in my head, I was like, all right, even if I can just make a couple of these work a year, that's like my vacation fund, and that'll be like an easy little savings. This will be a lot of fun. I showed the check immediately to my fiance. She was all psyched about it, and she was like, oh, that's great, but don't get your hopes up too high because you had a lot of help with it, and it works, but I don't know if you can make this work on your own repeatedly, maybe just a couple times a year. It's like, well, I think you're right, but I think I'll get out of it what I put into it. I think the harder I work and the more we're kind of willing to spend on our budget and be a little patient, I think the more it'll pay off. So sure enough, I mean, Sean and I talked a few minutes before the phone call. To date, from the beginning of May when I joined to now it's the middle of February, I've made a little over $70,000. Which that's slightly more that's slightly more than I make in my job in a year. And that's all money that it's just gone straight into a separate savings account. It's probably all going to go toward a down payment of a house because we're out house shopping now. And, I've just been pulling money out of it for marketing and then for some tithing. That's a really good podcast everybody should listen to. I'm not overly religious, so I donate to things like they have a charity here in Phoenix called Ryan House where it's all for disabled children who are orphans and things like that. So I give money back to those kinds of things, and I get some gratification out of that. And then It does seem like the more I give and the more often I give, the better leads that come in.
Isn't it amazing? It's just it's hard to pinpoint. And for people who are listening right now, and maybe you haven't listened to my podcast and stuff, I'm an avid believer in tithing. And I go to church and I tithe to a church, and Brian doesn't regularly go to a church, but he instead of actual tithing to a church, he'll give to charities. And like he said that's a success principle that I think is paramount, for people to go out and really want to go out and become successful. So the amazing thing is that, when someone, comes to me and they talk to me and they go, they're having troubles, or they're putting the marketing out there, they're trying something, they're working hard, they're doing everything right, but it's not working for them. One thing I always go back to them and say, hey, listen, are you giving 10% of whatever you make, to either to church or charity or whatever it might be? And 99.9% of the time, they're like, no, they're not. And as soon as they incorporate that success principle into their lives, amazing things happen, amazing things change. So now on your job, you make $65,000 a year, right? And that is a full-time job, 40 hours a week, right?
Yeah, it's a regular salary career job, a normal job like everybody else has.
Everybody else. Now, in this working not even less than a year, you got $70,000. And how many hours would you say either a day or a week do you put into for that?
Well, it depends on the day, but I would say probably an average of an hour or two a day.
So an hour or two a day. So you're not behind a desk and you're not grunt working and you're not, you pretty much have some marketing set out there. You're taking the calls, not a ton of calls. You're not getting flooded with calls, but you're talking to people and deals are coming in and you're getting deals and you're making money.
Yeah. Well, I should rephrase also, that hour or two a day isn't an hour or two of me grinding away. That's an hour or two of me sitting on the couch, watching TV with my laptop in my lap, just checking on Google AdWords, updating my Craigslist ads, searching through Craigslist for anybody selling properties, because I did actually buy and sell one that somebody was advertising on Craigslist. So I pay a little more attention to that than I previously did. And, just looking for new ways to find leads, playing with my website and things like that. It's all things that I enjoy doing now and that I'm doing while watching TV, time that would be otherwise completely wasted.
Right. Now, and you learn this primarily from, all the videos and the training and the information from the Flip2Freedom Academy, where it comes with the websites and the Google AdWords and the different, lead sources. We even talk about Craigslist and finding stuff on there. So a lot of stuff you learned, you took from that, of course, and you're able to apply it and generate money for it.
Oh, yeah, they're exactly what you show in your academy. My website for sellers is it's an exact replica of the one that you give away in the academy.
Right.
And my one for buyers now is pretty close to your normal Phoenix Wholesale Homes website.
Right.
It's a little of a more simplified version, but that's kind of where the idea for it came from.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's why reinvent the wheel for what's already working?
It's exactly, and the thing is that I'm out there doing the business, and I use different tools and websites and stuff like that. So it's almost like what the Flip2Freedom Academy is all it does is I take my business I've pretty much recorded everything and exactly how it works, and then just put it into like a 18-week series where people can kind of watch it and then incorporate things. Now they don't have to incorporate everything, but they can incorporate a lot of things into their business to go out and generate phenomenal profits. Now, you had a deal recently that just closed, and you made a check for how much? A big one.
Just over $31,000.
So $31,000 on one deal.
And that was one that bought and sold it within 10 days.
Bought and sold it? Well, now let's rephrase. You didn't really buy it. You contracted it and sold it.
They tied it up and sold it within 10 days.
Tied it up and sold it in 10 days. Now, guys, I know there are people listening right now that don't even make $31,000 in a year, and he took this information and applied it and made $31,000 in 10 days. Now, obviously, you've been doing it for about a little less than a year now. So you've had some knowledge behind you to be able to know what to contract it for, know what to sign in the contract, and then you've established a buyer's list. Now, do you have a huge buyer's list, or is it how many do you think?
It's actually pretty decent size now. It's just over 700 people that are on it.
Great. So in a year, you built 700 buyers where you can just send an email out on a property now, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I send an email out. Probably more than half of those people are realtors, where I send it to them and they send them back out, and they do kind of half the work for me because I send it out at whatever, say $100,000. They'll re-forward it to all their cash investors for $105,000.
Right.
And then at closing, they just get the $5,000. But for that, they'll do half the marketing of the property for me.
Right. They'll blast it out to all their buyers and everything like that, which is huge. Yep. So okay, so let's dissect this deal. So $31,000. The lead came in. Where did the lead come from? Was that Google or was it mailer?
So the lead came in through Google AdWords, and it's kind of funny. I was out looking at another property that didn't pan out. The guy wanted way too much money, and the place was just a train wreck. So I was at another property. I get an email every time somebody signs up as a seller. They go through it. I use eye contact. So I get the email on my phone. I click on it. It shows me the guy's name and phone number, but his address and stuff wouldn't come up. I was like, whatever. I've got a few minutes. I'll just give him a call. So I call him. It's like, hey, the property's over here in Scottsdale. It's actually about a mile south of where I live.
Right.
So I was like, oh, great. When could you show me the property? Do you have any prices in mind? Things like that. Like, okay, well, I'm thinking about $85,000. So I'm thinking, okay, at the very least, I'm buying this thing for $80 because he's okay with $80. He threw it out there. I look at the comps for the area, and there's a couple that are in like the mid-90s, a couple around 100, and then there's two of them for like 200,000. I was like, what? Those can't be real. There's got to be something weird with those. Right. Anyway, so I go look at the house. I walk through it. I meet the guy, nice guy. It has this weird addition. It's a 70s built Scottsdale home. One of the houses though that sold for 206 was the one 2 doors over from it. Like, all right, well, that's good to know, and this guy doesn't seem to know that. Right. So walk through the house. Like, hey, it's a little more beat up than I thought. I'm thinking $75,000 cash is a fair offer. I was like, all right, fine. And I found out just after that he had inherited the home, and it was getting split 5 ways anyway. Oh. So another $5,000, he didn't really care.
He didn't really care, right?
Of it anyway.
It's $1,000.
Yeah, I think his job in the inheritance is just to get rid of this house, and whatever money he gets, divide that check by 5 and mail him out.
Right.
So out for the 75, he's okay with it. I go to put a lockbox on the house. He's like, sorry, you can't do that. So we've got all this stuff to move out. We're having a garage sale this week. Take all the pictures you can, but I can't let you in the house until next week. I'm like, all right, well, that's a bit of a pain. But anyway, we write up the contract. I go for the 30-day escrow. I had taken a ton of pictures. I got home. I was like, what can it hurt? I did some more research. I decided to blast it out at a little over $110,000.
Right.
I said, all right, I'll probably get a little bit of interest, and then I'll try to put that interest into setting up some appointments for once I can get people into the house. I got like 8 phone calls almost immediately, and all of them I told them, you can't get in the house. Sorry, you're going to be the second appointment that day. You're going to be the third appointment. And I told all of them the actual number, like, oh, you're going to be the 5th one in the house that day. And finally, one of the guys goes, I'm not going to be the 5th one. He goes, I've seen enough. Like, what do you mean? He's like, I've seen enough to make an offer. I was like, well, I'm not accepting less than full price. with all these other offers and all this interest. And the guy's like, that's fine. I wasn't going to offer you less than full price. He's like, can we do cash in a 10-day close? Yeah. Like,
you're like, yes, absolutely, no problem.
I'm like, that sounds perfect. So I call up the seller because we'd initially negotiated 30 days. Like, hey, would you be all right with a 10-day close? That guy sounded like he was going to hit the ceiling. He's like, that would be amazing. That would make my life so much easier. Thank you, thank you. So we do the 10-day close. Everything goes through fine. Now the title company just direct deposits it to me, so I didn't even have to drive down to get the check. And
so you got a wire in your account for $31,000. Now, that's an awesome story. What did that do for your fiance?
Oh, she was bouncing off a wall. She was like, I can't believe that worked. Because prior to that, the biggest check I'd gotten was $11,000, and we were both really excited about that one.
Yeah.
And then this one comes along and just trumps it. Yeah, that's been pretty exciting. And then just kind of keeping the ball rolling, I upped my Google AdWords budget a little bit more, and so that was probably 3 weeks ago. Last week on Monday, I got a call about a triplex with fire damage in it. Drove out, met the lady on my lunch break, walked through the house. I was there maybe 20 minutes, took a bunch of pictures, walked through it. The fire damage in the middle of the unit, you could look up and see the sky through the ceiling. Where the firemen went through, they just cut a hole in the roof. So she wanted $15,000. We settled on $10,000. I put a lockbox on it. I sent it out.
So $10,000 for a fire-burnt triplex, right?
Yeah, $10,000 for a fire-burnt triplex. The two side units were in decent shape. One of them was rentable right now. The other just needed a little bit of repairs.
Right.
But the middle one was just a train wreck. I mean, everything was black. It was gross. I sent that out once I got back, though, for $20,000, thinking, all right, maybe I'll settle somewhere around $17,000. We'll see what happens. Boom, second guy through it, bought it. So I got it under contract on Monday, and it closed on Friday.
This past Friday.
So, yeah, in 5 days, I got the check for it.
Another $9,000.
$9,100 and some odd dollars after title company fees and all that. Yeah, it's
and then we got another one. We got a smaller one closing today, right? For another couple $2,500, $3,000, whatever. You know that. It's what's great about this business is, he put it out there, had a hard time selling it. Called me up and said, "Hey, can you sell it?" I put it out there, and we turn around and sell it, fairly quickly. So it's cool because you can kind of work with each other.
Yeah. Oh, I forwarded it over to you, and you sold it in like an hour. It was shocking.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just a littler one. I mean, for the example of stuff that people will buy, the house doesn't have a front door. And somebody still bought it.
Yeah, and you just walk in the place. It has code violations on it. Well, it's the the amazing thing is now all your friends that were skeptical. I mean, how do they approach it now?
Most of them in the beginning, I kept kind of beating the dead horse with it. I was like, here's what I'm doing, and it's going to work, and blah, 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 and trying to explain as much as I could.
Right.
And they were all kind of skeptical about it. So lately I've told the handful that were interested kind of the success I've been having, but most of them I've just kind of let it go. It's like, all right, if you guys aren't going to show any initiative, if you're not going to ask the right questions, and how can they help, and can I help them with any of their first deals or anything like that, I've kind of given up on them. But then there are a couple of my friends who are showing some real interest in it, and I'm more than happy to help them with it. And I've told them, you got to start listening to the podcast. It's not easy. It's not some goofy little infomercial thing where you spend $100 a month and magically you get $30,000 checks. No, you've got to sift through a lot of bad leads. You've got to go to a lot of crappy houses. You've got to sit on the phone a ton. You've got to spend a lot of time on the website, and you got to put some money out there. Not a lot, just a little bit, just to get your name out there and your website out there. It's like with anything else. If you work hard at it, it has great returns.
Right.
But it's not some weird get-rich-quick scheme.
Right. It's not some sort of sham. It's not some sort of sham that can do it. And now you even got your fiance's father now. He's a believer, right? Sees what you're doing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He was one of the people in the beginning that. His concern in the beginning was that this can't be legal. He was like, please don't go to jail for something silly. And I was like, no, it's completely legal. It's going through First American Title. They're a publicly traded company. They're not going to get wrapped up in something less than legal.
Right.
So yeah, he's been a big supporter since the especially since his most recent check. He's like, "You made how much last week?" Holy crap!
$40,000 in the past 2 weeks. It's crazy. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It has definitely upped our house buying budget too.
Yeah, so now you're out, because right now you're in a rental, right? But now you're moving in, and now you're looking at houses that where a year ago might be a lot less, but today obviously they're more because you've literally doubled your income on a part-time basis flipping houses in your spare time, right? And and so now you're looking at beautiful houses, and it's tough to find right now, obviously find them, but you're not in a rush. You can pick the house that you want for you and your family, but so what has this done for you personally between you and your fiance? I mean, for someone that's listening right now, and they're going, because there's a lot of people listening right now that are still in that skeptical, I don't know if it can work. They still have their friends telling them that it's not going to work, and they don't believe it yet. And now you're on the other side. You not only know it works, you believe it works, you've proven it works. What would you go back and tell somebody, that's looking at it and they're kind of on the fence and they don't know if they should do it or not? What kind of insight can you give to them?
I would tell them to just dive in. And, I mean, the absolute worst thing that happens is either you get your money back in 30 days or you blow a little bit of money on Google AdWords. You waste a little bit of time here and there, but there's no real downside. I mean, the worst thing that could happen is that you tell your friends about it and it doesn't pan out. But even more so than that, I wouldn't even tell your friends about it because you're going to tell them and you're going to get all this negative energy and you're going to get all these people saying it won't work. I think you're better off, because I had way better success when I stopped talking about it. It was like, I'm not going to say another word until I get a check for this, or they're never going to hear about it again if I don't get a check from this. So I think that kind of helped light a fire under me to be like, no, I want to prove that this works. I want to have this big old check and take a nice vacation and tell them all what it paid for.
Right. So so you probably say, okay, listen, keep their mouth quiet a little bit. Just internalize all the information. Apply massive action, just like you did. Realize it is hard work, and there is no push button thing where all of a sudden, just like you said, you're going to do that, and all of a sudden you get $30,000 checks. It does take work. It does take effort, but it's not like you're digging ditches. You know what I mean? You're turning around and you're flipping houses. And it's something where you're not only doing a great service for the seller because you're getting to move the property quick, but you're doing a good service for the buyer as well because they can take that threeplex with a hole in the roof and they can turn around and renovate it and turn around and improve the neighborhood.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a win-win for everybody. That triplex. So the seller was ecstatic when I told her that we were going to close in 10 days. The buyer was equally excited because on my little blast that I put out, I did the math of it that it was previously rented for $1,600 a month across the 3 units. So one was like $450, one was $350. But the break-even point was 18 months. That's when the person would have their $20,000 back.
Wow.
So that guy was ecstatic. He was like, in a year and a half, he's like, all right, so I'm going to put another probably $10,000 or $15,000 into it to get it there. He's like, so say 2.5 years, he'll be even. And after that, he's just getting free money every month, aside from taxes and insurance on the house.
Right. And he gets an unbelievable write-off, too, and he gets cash coming in.
Yeah, and the lady who owned it didn't have the money to fix the fire damage, so she was just, there's no other way to sell it. You're not getting a mortgage on something that just had a fire in it. So she was just happy to be out of it, to have her $10,000 check, and to go about the rest of her life.
That's
so
incredible.
She actually wrote me a nice little thank you email after it all went through on Friday.
She did?
Yeah.
Isn't that a great thing? You make $9,000 in a week, and you get a thank you email from the seller.
Yeah, she was like, thank you, that all went so smooth. I'm so glad to just be done with that property. And then she wished me luck with it, which I kind of chuckled. It's like, I don't even have it anymore. I don't need luck for that.
I don't need luck for that. It's not like you're doing it. Well, that's awesome, man. You have been you have been a testament that this can work. This does work, and where you can literally replace your income. You can get 1 year's worth of income in the bank, and guess what? You determine the pace, how fast you want to do it. You can do it super fast, or you can do it, as long as you want. But over a year, you've been able to double your income and having a blast doing it. And it's like, for me, I love the business and it's so much fun, but it's not like you're grinding away. Like you said, you're sitting on the couch, you're checking comps, you're calling people back, and you're cutting deals, and it's great.
Yeah. And it's really easy to do around your other job because most of these people don't want to meet me till after 5 or 6 anyway because they've got their own jobs. So
Right.
it really hasn't interfered much.
With what you do. Has it changed? Is it hard to focus at work on your other job, or is it just something you know that, hey, listen, I'm just going to be a great thing. I love my job anyways, and it's a great way to just to make an extra $70,000 to $100,000 a year, working on my job.
Every now and then it makes it tougher because every now and then I get a lead that comes in that I do the research on. And I'm like, wow, the little form. There's a ton of potential on this. So it's hard to not get a little bit excited about it while I'm at work and be like, oh, I'm going to wait a couple hours to call him instead of just being like, I'm going to step outside and call him now.
Yeah, I'm going to step outside and call him.
Yeah, so that part's been a little trickier. But, I mean, for the most part, no, it really hasn't affected my work life. And like I said, I like my job, so I luck out that I'm not in some kind of race to get out of it. I'm just enjoying this as extra income. And then
it's fun.
I think part of my one-day plan is my fiance doesn't want to work forever, and one day there will be little people running around our house. Get her to get a little bit more involved in it, things like that. It'd be a good work from home kind of thing for her, and then so I guess we would see where that leads. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun and really enjoyable.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I know you got to get back to work, so so thank you, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. You've been a great inspiration for everybody, and thanks for being a great example and going out and getting it done and applying the principles, taking massive action. So it's a pleasure, and I'm excited for you. Excited for you to see your new house. I want to see a picture of you in front of your new house that you bought with you and your fiance. So it's gonna be awesome.
I will happily send you that, and thank you for all your help.
Yeah, it's been a blast. We have a good time. So, all right. Well, we will sign off for this call. Go to flip2freedom.com, flip2freedom.com, and you can download your book for free on exactly how to quit your job in 19 weeks or less, replace your income, listen to my podcast, and then we will see you in the next episode. Take care, and God bless.